And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Thank you so much for hanging out and waiting for the start of the broadcast. It's always Joe's fault, so I just kind of leave it at that. I mean, you guys know how it works. It's 2-ish every Friday, 5-ish Eastern every Friday. Look, guys, if you're new to the broadcast...
Look, Spencer's in Beverly Hills. He had to get back from his pedicure. Let's be real, okay? Let's be honest about this. Just saying.
Let's be honest about this. I actually have them come upstairs.
You had to shoo them out.
Look, dude. No one's touching my feet except for me. That's a thing that I have. I'm just saying.
Just see, over the years, just chipping away. A few more details every 6 months.
Yeah, that is
building a profile, and then we'll know everything.
I have been asked to have that happen, with various people in my life. And to me, as relaxing as you people say that is, I know Chauncey Hayden loves a good pedicure, and every woman I've ever been with. I don't know what it is, man. I cannot stand it. It's like bugs crawling all over my body. Is it just me? Let me know. 888-659-3727. Guys, but really, all joking aside, this is the Hair Loss Show. I am the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. I also happen to be the founder of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. I write medical reference content for WebMD. I'm a contributing editor to Consumer Digest magazine. And I know that sounds like a lot, but the reality is what we do here is provide you guys with the truth about anything and everything hair loss. And we also provide a place, which we've been doing for the past almost 24 years. Joe has been with the show or on it or part of it in some capacity for probably 15 years, I'd say. At least as a caller, as a regular, and then as our co-host. Right? You busy, Joe?
Yeah, 15, 16 years, yeah.
If you're busy, dude.
Yes, I am. Can you, not interrupt me? I'm busy.
Okay. I don't want to disturb you during the broadcast. Jesus Christ.
There's another one.
Guys, we're live. If you want to give us a call, 888-659-3727. The guy who's in Vancouver, British Columbia at TBT Studios, I'm in Los Angeles, is Joe Tillman. He is the original hair transplant mentor. He is a guy who unfortunately got screwed over early in life by, the typical hair transplant situation that was happening back in his day and is happening even more often, meaning that, guys are being disfigured every single day in this industry. He was one of them. He ended up getting repair surgery after 10 years of living with bad hair transplants, which is a fucking nightmare if that ever happens to you.
It is.
And then he's had a total of 10 hair transplants in the past decade and a half. And if you look at this guy now, you'd be like, 2 decades.
20 in the past 3 decades, because that 10 is including my first 2 bad ones.
Oh.
Just keeping it real.
Okay. Never correct me on the air again.
In the past 15 years.
So Joe knows his shit. He's also been in the trenches for quite a long time in the field, working for one of the top clinics in the world for many years, and he worked for another top clinic. So he has been in the trenches advising hair transplant patients. And frankly, as an independent, since he kind of left being in the business as far as, being in a practice, I think he's learned quite a lot. Stuff that he didn't even believe that I used to tell him that was happening in this industry. Would you say that's right, Joe?
I would say that that's right. And it's funny, when you work in a clinic for so long, you see what goes on behind the scenes as far as how that clinic operates. And you see what happens behind the scenes with other clinics as far as their patients coming to see you for help, whether it be, me personally looking for just guide. Because even when I was working for Dr. Wong, patients would reach out to me to ask me my opinion on their case, not to say, should I come to see Dr. Wong or Dr. Hassan? It was, what do you think of my case? Like, what can I do to fix it? And thankfully, I feel it's because early on I established myself as being not this pushy consultant that was always trying to get people to come to my clinic. It wasn't about that for me. It was about educating people the right way, because I knew that with the proper education, they would most likely come to us without having to talk them into it. It would be their decision. But usually people would come and talk to me, ask me my opinion about their situation, just because they knew that I'd give it to them straight. And some of the shit that I saw from other clinics blew my mind. So I thought that I knew it all. But then stepping outside of that box and looking at all the other boxes that I didn't know existed, that you told me about beforehand, and I was like, kind of like, I didn't not believe it, but it's like, you hear about it, but you don't know it until you know it yourself, until you see it for yourself. Boy, did I see it. Some of the shit that goes on in this industry.
This is one of the ugliest cesspools of an industry that anyone would ever want to enter. And the thing is, let me make this clear. The entire hair loss industry is a fucking cesspool. Period. As Joe would say, full stop. The vast majority of products and services being sold do not work. The vast majority of service providers, non-surgical or surgical providers, either suck at what they do or don't give a shit about the consumer. They understand that there are about 200,000 of us, at least here in the U.S., waking up every day for the first time, realizing that we're losing our hair, and we're like, fuck, what do we do? Where do we go? And if they are positioned well on the internet and search engines, if they buy enough online promotion, if they are doing enough TikToks and Instagrams, they're going to get the eyeballs. And the bottom line is, people just want to get fixed. They don't necessarily want an education. So even the really bad guys know that, you know what, even if people eventually find out, we're going to make plenty of money, and there's a sucker born literally in this space every minute. And when it comes to surgery, men and women are being disfigured every single day. Right now, Friday, what's today? May 7th, 2021. I would say in the state of California, in the city of Los Angeles, a minimum of 200 walking wounded, they don't even know it yet, walked out the door of their clinic at the end of the day, and their lives will never be the same. What do you say about that, Joe?
I agree 100%. 100%. More so today than May 7th, 10 years ago. More people are walking out of the clinics today not realizing that they're fucked, that they just made a horrible, horrible mistake. And it's not because of anything that they did wrong. It's because the information that they had access to in this ever-growing sea of information, false information, I should say, is what they used to guide themselves. And it's interesting. A lot's happened this week in the world of hair, as far as patients talking about their cases and people talking about patients, YouTubers talking about different cases, and doctors sharing their opinions of different cases, and it just there was a point earlier this week when I'm watching one of these things online, reading, I'm thinking to myself, this is 2021. We're supposed to be better today than we were 10 years ago. And I've talked about this before. We've talked about this before many times. But the industry is worse today than it was 10 years ago. What other industry in the world can you name that's worse today than it was 10 years ago? I can't think of any.
I would say that urological surgery, that aspect of medicine, has gone way downhill because everyone is now gravitated to the Da Vinci, in my view. This is just my opinion. The Da Vinci robot, younger doctors aren't even taking the time to learn how to do these types of procedures laparoscopically. Now, that's a little over people's heads because most guys who are listening are not my age and they don't give a shit about their prostate. But a lot more damage being done, in my view, in that industry. So, but yeah, I mean, I get your point, Joe. I didn't mean to contradict you, but the reality is, this industry has gotten.
You weren't contradicting me, but yeah, hello,
I'm here.
Yeah, no. I was just saying you weren't contradicting me, but look, I read something just today that really put this whole thing in perspective. Not as far as like the quality of the industry, but just the mindset that people have about this. And I'll see if I can.
And by the way, guys,
actually, I'm going to hold off because I want to.
We're 11 minutes into the broadcast, and we started off with phones lit. All lines are open now. What's going on? Unless my phone line's dropped off, there's no calls in the line. This is how it works. And take this in the spirit that it's meant. We do the live broadcast to take your calls, not for me and Joe just to vamp or to do a podcast. So if the phones start to ring, we stay on the air. If they don't, I go get something to eat. And we try again next week. I don't mean to sound obnoxious. I just want you guys to know that we come here live for you. And obviously, you guys listen to the show, or the guys in the chat. You're here on a weekly basis. A lot of you guys who are watching, or I should say listening on like Stitcher Radio and through guys from Queens Network and iTunes Radio. The phone lines are open. It's 888-659-3727, and we're here to answer your questions about anything and everything hair loss. As well as, guys, if you have planned or scheduled a surgery and you have surgery on Monday and you're not 100% sure that you did your due diligence, I want you to know that don't worry about your deposit. If you decide to call us and we tell you you may have made a mistake, or the images on this particular physician's website are not his own fucking images, that would be the best money you ever lost. So give us a call, 888-659-3727. I almost forgot the number after 24 years. All right, Joe, while you're getting your thoughts together, we'll take some calls. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from? Hello.
Yeah, hey.
Hey. Yeah, who's this?
Hello.
I guess it's a little behind because when I'm watching it, I can still hear you guys, so I'll have to mute it down.
Well, here's it's like the radio. You can't listen to the radio and be on at the same time, so just turn it down.
All right, I muted it.
All right, man. So what can we do for you? Who is this, and where are you calling from?
My name is Kyle, and I'm in Kentucky.
Hey, Kyle. Welcome.
Hello, Kyle.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So what can we do for you?
So I don't know. I guess I have sort of a weirder case. I just turned 40, right? And
happy birthday.
Yeah, which is horrible on its own.
Really? Wait till you're about to turn 56, yo.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Leg to be 40 again.
40 years old, you're a baby, man.
So when I was, I've always had great hair, kind of like my mom. Sort of that Wolfman hairline kind of thing when I was young. Yeah. Early 20s, it sort of, matured and then just stayed there. And in my early 30s, like I had a bunch of friends going to do TRT, so I went and looked at that, and it turns out I had a pituitary tumor, so I had almost no hormones, like the hormones of a 90-year-old man, basically.
Wow.
No human growth. My total test was like 78.
Were you overweight?
Probably why. Oh yeah.
And that
low thyroid.
That also could be why you had Wolfman Jack hairline as an adult.
Yeah. So I had like basically every medical problem you could have, from like hormonal, low thyroid, like 4 times severe apnea, the whole deal.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they put me on testosterone. Didn't really do anything for me. And over probably the next, I don't know, 6 years, it chipped my temples out a little bit. Instead of being rounded down, they were more straight. Not that big a deal. But the testosterone never really did anything for me. I never felt good. Whereas, I have friends and my brother and people who are on it and love it. But for me,
that's interesting. So you had no, were your, and again, I want to preface this by saying I'm not a physician, but were your lab levels up to normal levels?
Yeah, they actually came up, and I even, just being an idiot, I would try, I tried more, I tried less, I tried any different dosage, and there was never any change whatsoever.
You didn't notice any change in weight loss, muscle mass, nothing?
Absolutely nothing.
Wow, that's unusual.
And also, keep in mind, I had no human growth hormone, like, at all. We're not talking a little bit.
Were you able to, you're anonymous. Were you able to have sex?
Yeah.
Wow. There's hope for you, Joe.
Yay.
So go ahead, man.
So it was, well, I was going to say, it was crazy. They when I did my human growth hormone test, they hooked me up to an IV for like 6 hours and shot me with, I guess, whatever, insulin, sugar, I don't know, and determined that I had no. So I was on human growth. I was on testosterone, thyroid meds, all that stuff. But anyway, to skip ahead, I don't want to.
That's all right. So you're all, so bottom line is you're all fucked up.
Right.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
So about like 2 years ago, I was 38, and I was like, I'm turning 40. I could get this weight off. I don't want to die of a heart attack. Blah blah blah. To do that, I really have to tank my calories out. I started getting into like water fasting, which I actually never felt better. The weight loss was great. I was losing weight. I was walking more, all that stuff. I would water fast 5 days a week, eat like 1 meal a day Saturday, keto.
Wow.
Not surprisingly, 2 months into it, like literally all my hair was falling out.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty common for, going on a crash diet. You're not getting a tremendous amount of nutrients. And, the first thing that goes is your hair is trying to find, your body's trying to find whatever it can and use whatever energy it has to keep your organs going and everything that's vital. And the first thing that goes is your hair goes into a telogen effluvium.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was literally peeling it off my hands in the shower. It was in my food, in my refrigerator, literally everywhere. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's very common. So where are you at now?
So after that, I was feeling good, except I was like, I have so much hair, let me just try to do it. It should stop. So I kept doing it, and, I was still losing hair, and I got to the point maybe like that next, it was in the fall, then next summer, and I saw a commercial, and I was like, the Get Roman, like, let me try, here's a commercial for finasteride. So I go, send in some pictures, the doctor sends it to me, pop one pill, worst experience of my life. It was unbelievable.
Really? And I can tell you why it could have been unbelievable. Because A, your hormones are totally fucking out of whack, as you said.
Yeah.
And you've been fasting, really eating nothing most of the week for how many months?
Well, that was 2 months, but after that, it was sort of off and on. I'd do it a couple days a week, here and there, but I never completely stopped.
And I have to ask you a question, and take this in the spirit that's meant. You've been under doctor's supervision for a long time, as far as taking testosterone or TRT replacement, and having your hormone levels checked. Did you think maybe if you were going to take another drug that was going to affect your hormones, that and maybe you did this. Did you speak to your doctor at all?
Well, you do when you do those get Roman places. You know, you do talk to a doctor, but it's not like
I'm going to be completely clear. I have mixed feelings about the subscription-based, online or over the phone finasteride, hair loss. These drugs that are being prescribed like this, because you have no idea what you're really getting as far as where the generic is coming from. That's just one issue, but also you have to understand that in general, and this is just my point of view, I don't know this as a fact, but this is what I understand about this type of telemedicine. You find a doctor who's willing to prescribe it, you pay this guy a fee, and he just, prescribes the meds. He takes he does everything within legal parameters, takes your information, and most of the time you're going to be a candidate for this medication. So
essentially,
So I don't know what kind of a real medical workup can be done using these services. With that said, let me make it clear. I'm also kind of a fan that at least younger guys now, more than ever in the last 5 years, are getting their hands on finasteride and are seeing it as a real option, because for a while it was just out of the question for anyone to give it a shot. And I was doing a lot of people a disservice because we know that it works for a lot of guys. So go ahead, man. Finish your story.
Okay. Like I said, I tried the finasteride, and I mean...
So what happened?
So literally, I got it in the mail. I remember it like it was 9/11. Like you know exactly where you were, and like everything is so vivid.
Yeah.
And I took the first pill, the 1 milligram, and for most of the day I felt, I don't know how to explain it, but never realizing you have a prostate, I was slightly aware of something there.
Right.
And I noticed, for erections, it was just sort of slow to respond, but not that big a deal.
Right.
And then that night, it just hit me in the worst possible way. Like I had the most severe headache where I had to turn the lighting down on everything. I don't know. I had like ringing in my ears, muscle aches, the whole deal. And then directly after that, every day, I felt a little bit better.
Now, were you continuing to take it, or did you just stop that day?
No. I took one single pill.
Wow. Okay.
And then, 5 days later, I felt like, you wake up from the flu one day and you feel like you turned a corner, you can sit up on the bed, you feel kind of good. I felt like that.
Okay.
And then the very next day, I literally crashed out. I'm talking complete impotence. I had trouble going to the bathroom. The ringing of the ears came back. My body temperature went down. I mean, it was insane.
All right. Did you call I'm just curious. Did you call your doctor? Did you call anybody? Did you speak to the people at Roman?
Well, of course I reached out to them, and they're like, it can side effects or whatever. I made an appointment. I had 3 days later, I went to a urologist. And we did, urine was fine. He did a prostate exam. That was fine. That was pretty much it. And I went to my endo, I went to my regular doctor, pretty much anybody I went to, even my optometrist, I was telling about it during that time because it was so, traumatizing.
I have to say that, I've heard of some stories, obviously, some heavy stories, but this is one of the heaviest stories, especially after one dose of 1 milligram finasteride. And look, obviously, this is a cautionary tale because, you came in with a lot of pre-existing issues hormonally. And I think that's really important for people to understand that. And this goes for women who are about to take birth control. If you have these types of, and you had severe hormonal issues, and you're already taking synthetic hormones for years, you were crash dieting, there are all kinds of issues happening with you, to add something else that's affecting your hormones, you really got to be fucking careful, man. And I understand you've taken so much stuff, you're like, what's the difference? I might as well take this stuff. But that is a cautionary tale. And I have to tell you that I've been doing this for 24 years. This is the very first time that I've actually heard someone call in. I've read some stuff on the internet, but had someone call in who's taken one dose and had such significant side effects. I'm sorry that you went through that.
I've heard of this once. I've had one person tell me.
What was that, Joe?
I've had
I was
one
just saying
in my 20 years. I've had one person tell me that they had an extreme response after one tablet.
Wow.
It wasn't quite like yours. It was headaches, and that's about it. But yeah, this is only the second time I've ever heard this. Not to discount, I'm just saying the rarity of it.
Well, I mean, the way I always thought about it was, again, severe hormonal problems. But, if you're taking 70% of a guy's DHT who's normal, that's a lot different than somebody who has such a small amount that I had. I was probably very dependent on everything, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, yeah, but anyway, I did that. And, I mean, and even one of I'll just mention this last thing and just kind of get through the rest of the story. I don't want to take up forever.
No, it's okay.
But I had, like, we all have, like, certain things, girls or whatever does it for us. You look at it, for me, it's a redhead or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, there's that certain thing, and there was just no brain sort of penis connection is the only way I can, like, looking at a beautiful girl was like looking at a sunset or something.
Yeah.
I knew what it was, but there was it was unreal. So, and then, of course, to make things worse, I was like, all right, I need to reset my body. Let me do a couple of water fasts directly after that. So, I did like 2 after that. Of course, reading online, it was not fun experience.
Well, here's the thing, and I tell people this, and I'm guilty of it myself. I recently had a full checkup, and I had to I had to reform my checkup. I had a weird scare, totally unrelated to finasteride, and I'm going online and I'm reading about this shit, and I am just like sitting here like, well, all right, that's it, and I better get my shit in order because apparently I have this condition or whatever it is. So of course I got checked out. Everything's good. And I write for WebMD. I provide content for the hair loss world on WebMD, and I tell people all the time. And I don't provide anything that's scary. I provide factual stuff, but not that stuff on that's factual. Not that if you read something that's scary, that it's not factual. But when we go down that rabbit hole, and we start to read about the possible issues that we're dealing with online, it is scary as shit. And then you end up on some Reddit thread, and then you end up on this and that, and it just fucking freaks you out, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a good thing to do. I mean, the best thing, honestly, is really to seek the advice of a physician or multiple physicians and try to keep your head out of the online space unless you can't get help anyplace else. So go ahead. So continue.
Well, I was saying, when I went to that urologist, he was like, well, it was a really young guy, and he's like, I just don't think, the half-life is that long. I don't think that could be your issue. And my mom's been an RN for like 40-plus years, and I was seeing her correct doctors on life and death stuff all the time. And when I told her about it, she was like, is it a protein-binding medication? I was like, I don't know. Let me look. And, finasteride's a 90% protein-binding medication. And, they obviously they don't even let you give blood and stuff. And I will say, I am a super hypochondriac, 100%.
Yeah.
But previous to taking the pill, I wasn't aware of any side effects. And obviously I'm a very outlier case, as far as this stuff goes.
Now, I have to ask you, how are you not aware of any side effects in 2021? I'm just curious.
Because I just saw the commercial one day. It just pops up, hey, you want to get your hair, blah, blah, blah. I uploaded some pictures. The doctor calls me, and he goes, here's your stuff. It shows up the door. I take it. I mean, it was that quick and seamless.
Now, the doctor didn't advise you during the consultation that there's a possibility of these side effects?
He went and said something like, I think at the end of the call, we didn't really go over anything. I was like, so are there any side effects or anything? He's like, it's very, very rare. You might, even if you do, they'll go away in like a week or a week and a half or whatever. I said, okay. I mean, when I even complained, they gave me a refund, like all my money back.
Yeah, well, they should have, because I have to tell you that in my view, that particular physician was incredibly irresponsible. And, one of the first things I think that should be stated, even though I know, based on clinical data, my own experience and the experience of thousands of men, that adverse side effects are relatively rare and much more rare than they're made out to be, in my view, on online. However, when they hit, they hit. And I think that patients need to have that information up front. Not like, yes, this is great, we can help you. First thing you should know is, okay, well, you're a candidate, but you need to know that there is a potential for adverse side effects, and these are the side effects. So before you take this drug, we just want you to be aware that this can happen. It may be rare, but I mean, you shouldn't have had to ask if there are any side effects.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. I mean, that is tantamount, in my view, to malpractice, especially in this day and age when, it's very clear on the internet and everywhere else that finasteride in a subset of men causes these types of side effects. In some cases, they can be even more severe than yours. So let me ask you a question. Have you gotten past them? Have you recovered?
Yeah. So after that, it took quite a long time. I'd say I'm 85, 90% back to normal.
Okay. Now, do you think any of it now, after all this time, is any of it possibly psychosomatic at this point? I'm not saying it was at the beginning.
I really don't think so. Just because, really, what's left over, man, I don't know how to. Like, I feel like a lot of it was almost some of the muscle, like, because doesn't finasteride, one of the things it does is relax the muscles around the prostate?
That is one of the things that it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I felt like, having sort of, I don't know, more throbbing erections, or like some of that stuff is gone. Like, I felt like the muscles, just in that area were weak. And a lot of it was just like, getting that coming back.
I don't understand. Why did Joe's ears perk up when you said throbbing erection? That was a really weird response, dude.
See, was that necessary? Really? Like,
gotta have a little fun, man.
Like, we're having a serious conversation now.
You gotta have a little fun, man. Here's the thing. I would tell you this, and I'm not a physician. I have to preface this all the time. And I'm sure your urologist has told you this, but you should probably start to do some Kegling. Do you know what that is?
Yeah. Oh, believe me, I did all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, keep doing it. Do it every day. I'm doing it right now, on the show as we speak. Just do it. And let me tell you,
he's putting out a video to show you how, just in case.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a camera under the desk. But honestly, the fact that you've recovered from, and I'm sorry that you went through that, you'll have 100% recovery. Trust me. What you went through is exceptionally rare, especially after one dose. It's almost unheard of. Like Joe said, he heard of one case, and I've never actually had someone call the show in 24 years. And I'm glad that you did, because I think people need to hear this stuff.
Well, I read a lot of stuff online, and I say all the time, even though that happened to me, I'm not anti-finasteride. If it helps you and saves your hair and keeps your low side effects, go for it. That's great, but things can happen.
That's right.
That 2% or whatever you want to say, it could always be you. And in my case, it was me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sorry that happened to you, man. And so, before we take another call, is there anything else we can help you with?
Well, yeah, my big thing is, it really sort of pushed back my temples, and I was going the other way. And just to speed it up, I went to a dermatologist. He was like, Tillman fluvium. You should recover. The hair loss was all over my head. And it still really hasn't. Tried, minoxidil, and it was so irritating. I was like scratching my scalp. And obviously, my hair has literally, because I was doing it so long, even the healthy donor area has miniaturized and thinned out. So I'm really just looking for some advice on where to go. I've considered oral minoxidil. I even went and did a $150 hair test where they take your hair and send it to the lab and send you a whole report.
Holy shit, you fell for one of those, man.
Yeah,
you did that, huh?
God, this industry, it's just so fucked up. So you went to a trichologist. Is that
no? I went to a dermatologist first, who said Tillman fluvium.
Right, but when you went to the lab and they took your hair, what lab was that?
That was just she was the lady I originally went to for hormonal stuff, so I knew she'd do anything I asked. So I went to her, and we did full blood work. Again, this was 2 or 3 months ago, and then the full the hair sample test thing.
Okay. All right, man. Listen, this would be my advice. Again, not medical advice. You need to get your diet down. to a degree where you at least are getting the bare minimum of nutrients, enough protein, enough macros and macronutrients. Is it macronutrients?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To support normal hair growth. It sounds to me like everything that you've been through and everything that you've put into your body is a major cause of your continued telogen effluvium. Now, I don't know if it triggered androgenetic alopecia, if you would have ever had it, if it was in your family. If you said that your temples did recede, it's possible that you had, some early signs of male pattern hair loss. It's also possible that since your hormones were so screwed up at the beginning, that the reason you kept a relatively feminine or youthful, pre-pubescent hairline is because your hormones were what they were. So just by adjusting them, you could have kind of had a mature hairline. There's no way to tell except you have to change your lifestyle. And, before you start to throw drugs and different medications and get yourself on oral minoxidil, which has a whole set of different issues attached to it, maybe you need to kind of get your body on track.
Well, yeah, I have done that. That's what I'm saying, and I'm still sort of at this wall where, even the hairline has been pushed back and miniaturized. The dermatologist was like, I think it might have just sort of activated your age-related thinning in the front. And,
that's true.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just kind of stuck and wondering what to do next. I couldn't, because the hair is so fine and miniaturized even in the back, I probably couldn't even do a transplant. I don't know. I just
you don't
really
want to do a transplant. Your hair's, you're in too much. You're in a really fragile state. You're dealing with telogen and effluvium. You have overall miniaturized hair. Transplant would be the worst thing for you.
Yeah.
Where are you located again?
Kentucky.
Okay. You should probably see a real hair loss specialist. Are you willing to drive out of state? I mean,
yeah, because I've looked around here and haven't really seen anybody. So if you have a recommendation, I'm all open. Yeah.
I mean, Joe, who would you potentially recommend that he go see?
Well, in Kentucky, the closest one I can think of would be still not that close, but Jerry Cooley over in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I'm like 2 hours from Knoxville.
Yeah, he's probably the closest. Yeah, so which means that you're... Yeah, well, you're about the same distance from Cooley as you are from Cole in Atlanta. So either of those two would be two doctors to consider. Dr. Cooley is a dermatologist. He might have the edge on, ideas on what's going on and how to investigate it. But who knows? I mean, they're both brilliant, and they're about the same distance away, give or take a half hour. But and aside from that, I mean, hop on a plane, go see Dr. Shapiro, and even I think, let's see, who else? It's probably it. I mean, anyone in the IAHRS I think would be a solid start. What's the guy's name in Connecticut?
Scott Bowden.
Scott Bowden. He might be a good resource as well.
The thing is, you want to go to somebody who obviously deals with hair every day. Yeah, these guys we're talking about are hair transplant surgeons, but you're probably not a candidate for a hair transplant, like I said. But at the very least, they can help you along the way with potentially prescribing medication and really getting a full understanding of what's going on. Use a dermatoscope to really check out your miniaturization and understand what they're looking at, where even dermatologists, if they're not dealing specifically in hair, they don't necessarily understand. You may be a candidate for some other topical preparations. There are minoxidil preparations that don't contain propylene glycol, so you won't be able to buy brand name or store-bought stuff. You'd have to get stuff kind of prescribed and compounded by a physician, but there are less irritating compounds that you could use. So you'll be given the possibility of having more choices. And you didn't react well on finasteride, but it's possible if they think you're a candidate that topical finasteride might be an option for you as well.
You said was it Cooley in North Carolina and Cole in Atlanta?
Yes.
Yes.
Cole, like C-O-L-E?
C-O-L-E. You can go to iahrs.org, and you can see the organization. You can find all the doctors as close to you. And those are two really great recommendations. All right, man?
Cool. All right, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, good luck. And I'm sorry that you dealt with what you dealt with, and I'm glad you're feeling better.
All right, cool.
Take
Thanks,
care.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for
Phone
calling.
number is 888-659-3727. Guys who are in the chat or who are texting or who are writing me saying that they can't get through, they're getting a voicemail. That's our busy signal. So if you get an automated or like a voicemail type of thing or a queue, you put into that type of a queue where it asks for you to leave a message, that means we're busy. That's my bad. Still haven't figured this thing out. I know that I could, but all lines are lit. We actually have one line open now if you want to call in. The phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, yo, what is up, guys? This is me, Carl, calling again, just like from last week.
What's happening, man? How are you?
What's up?
Not much. I got some bad news for you guys.
What's the bad news?
I got side effects.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Two side effect calls in one show. What happened? How long were you on?
Okay, so the whole story was I went through like a routine of using minoxidil 2 milliliters for scalp coverage. And I took the full milligram of finasteride 1 milligram.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember last week, this is like a few hours after I came on the show, I noticed that like when I was working out, I had the tightest chest pain that I could ever feel in the world. It was discomforting.
Chest pain, like how? What kind of chest pain? Like around your nipple area, or actually in your chest, like a heart attack?
The whole chest felt like tight and felt like it was swelling.
That's weird.
Yeah.
You sure just weren't getting pumped?
No, it was just. It felt like it was a side effect. So.
Well, I mean,
it was really.
I'm not saying that it wasn't a side effect, but I have been doing this for a very long time. I've never heard of just chest tightening, or like feeling really pumped and tight as a side effect of finasteride. I heard of plenty of people who've had gynecomastia. Plenty of people have had feeling of pre-gynecomastia where their nipples hurt and there was a swelling of the nipples. Did you have any of that?
No. I think there's like a gray area that the side effect could have been me using the minoxidil at like a high milliliter, or it could have been the finasteride.
I would actually say that, and Joe's about to say it, but I would say that sound, anything that has to do with that type of tightening of the chest, and we're not doctors, I would assume would be more related to using a lot of minoxidil.
Yeah, I used 2 millimeters all. I used it all at once for scalp coverage every night.
Yeah, you may want to cut back on that because it from what you're explaining, that it doesn't sound like it was a finasteride side effect.
Yeah. Well, just in case I
Look, let me stop right there. Let me just stop you.
Yep.
Don't when you're you've been taking this. How can I say it? You've been taking it slow since you kind of caught yourself last year with these ideas that you're reading on Reddit and all these websites about what other people are doing and the things that they're complaining about, right?
I'm not quitting completely.
No, I'm not. No, just hear me out. You've kind of caught yourself and kind of came into the space of more clear thinking when it comes to how you're moving forward and how you're going to be dealing with this. Telling your family that you're doing this, and eventually them not giving you shit about it anymore, and that's great. What I encourage you to do moving forward from here is don't try to don't take this idea that more is better. That's what a lot of people do. It's like well, they recommend this, so I'm just going to do double that because double must be better.
Yeah.
No. Double must not be better.
Yeah.
It might be better, but why? It's like, why fuck with it? Don't mess with it. Don't take it into your own hands, thinking that you know better or that you want to try something different other than what's recommended. Just stick with the program.
Yeah. I stuck in with the 2 millimeters for a month straight. I didn't try and shift it for the past month. So yeah.
Well, but you said that you're putting it all on at night at one time instead of splitting it up twice a day.
Yeah, I did that ever since I got minoxidil.
Yeah, but the thing about minoxidil, as opposed to some other drugs, and because you're putting it on your scalp, systemic absorption is going to take quite a bit of time to see those type of adverse side effects. It could take a week. It could take 2 weeks. But if you're constantly putting that much product on your scalp and you're doing it for 2 weeks straight, it's very possible that is why you had a side effect like that. I mean, that is absolutely a strong possibility. And I know that you're 19 years old, and I know you want to keep your hair, but I promise you, you will not keep more hair by using more minoxidil than is supposed to.
I know that already.
Yeah.
So I did that idea because not only because of more, I didn't want to put more on. I thought since you take 2 millimeters, one in the morning, one at night, and I want to get full scalp coverage, I thought about putting it together and just doing it only at night for the maintenance or something.
I understand your reasoning, but I mean, A, you don't need to do that, and B, if you're using both minoxidil and finasteride, here's the good news about finasteride: you're taking it in pill form. It's systemic. It works by potentially lowering your DHT levels by blocking 5-alpha reductase type 2 from converting testosterone into DHT. So you got that covered.
Yeah.
Anything that you're adding topically is just going to be a possible bonus, or in my mind, just a pain in the ass. But I know why guys do it. But as far as maintenance, that is really what your finasteride use is for, and that will maintain everywhere, if it works for you, everywhere on your scalp. So I'm not a fan of the kitchen sink approach. I'm not a fan of using minoxidil until it's kind of almost like a last resort. A lot of guys will do it first, and I'm not a doctor, but it definitely sounds to me like you caused yourself this scary event.
It wasn't so bad. It didn't affect me so badly. I was fine.
Well, good. I'm glad. But hopefully next time you call, you're going to say, okay, we went another week or another 2 weeks or another month without any adverse effects.
Yeah. And Joe sounded like an angry dad.
Yeah, Joe's an angry. That's what he is. He's an angry dad. I've told him that before.
Yeah. It's like, Joe, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that.
Well, I'll tell you why I sound angry. Is because I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because so many people.
I'm sorry, dude. I don't mean to frighten you.
No, you're not frightening me. I'm just serious. You've told me yourself. Like all the people on Reddit have all these answers for hair loss, when it's all just bro science. Like people just making shit up in their heads and trying it, and then one guy reads it and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll give that a shot," And so it's irritating for me because they try all these things that no one else has done, and then they their ear falls off or something, and it's like, I don't understand why that happened. Well, maybe because you're doing something that wasn't recommended, So in your case, for you, young man, it's tough love, because I want to see you succeed with this, and I don't want you to do these silly things of loading up at night or dividing, doing it all at once instead of breaking it down during twice a day. You're in the right direction. Just stick to the program.
Now he's the angry dad trying to explain why he's the angry dad.
Yeah.
Goddamn right.
Look, Connor,
No,
I'm doing it for your
thing
own good, kid. That's what he's trying to tell you.
This hurts me more than it hurts you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say you're more upset than I am. Usually, like the other calls, I'm more upset than you guys are.
Well, listen, Connor, it's always good to hear from you. I'm glad that it wasn't a severe side effect, and it's important that you kind of gauge your body and watch things like you're doing. Stick to the normal protocol. I'm telling you,
of course.
As long as you are not having adverse effects on finasteride, the likelihood of you being able to maintain what you have right now is a hell of a lot higher than if you weren't doing anything. And frankly, clinically, you have about an 86% chance of maintaining the hair that you have. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, Matt?
Hey, Joe?
Joe?
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, Joe. About the bro science, my minoxidil theory of combining it to 2 millimeters didn't feel like a new type of hair loss cure theory. I just wanted to do it. I just wanted to see it, to try it for maintenance, and I failed. Mistake.
That's fine.
Oops. Yeah.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Right. Listen, I'll try to calm Joe down when we get to the next caller. All right, Connor. Thanks a lot, man.
Right.
Good
See you,
luck.
buddy.
Have a good weekend. Phone number is 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. Guys, and ladies, every time a call drops, that means that there's a line open for you to get in if you want to call the show. So currently there's a line open. You're not going to get a voicemail or quote-unquote busy signal. Well, you might in a second, but try to call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer. This is Adrian from Melbourne.
Adrian from Melbourne. How are you, man? Melbourne.
I'm good, buddy.
Dude, good to hear you, man.
You too. And hey, Joe, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, good. I just finished work. Your show hits here about 7 a.m. Saturday morning. So, just got home from work. Things are good. Look, Spencer, I've been following you recently. You would have noticed on Instagram, and really loving the posts you're putting up. And I've been spending a bit of time on the Hair Restoration Network, and I've noticed I've been getting a lot of DMs from people, and you do speak the truth. I'm getting that many from people who have had a hair transplant, and they're saying this is the worst thing I've ever done. And I'll put my experience out there to the guys, and I'll put photos up of, the plugs, the scars, the whole bit, the SMP rather.
Here's what's interesting. It's like, you're talking about sites that are essentially, in my view, selling hair transplants. And, all these guys come on to some of these sites and they think, well, I'm going to get objective information. And really, the objective information, it really doesn't exist. I mean, it is all garnered and geared, and a narrative is created in order to keep the flow of leads going. And that is something that I never wanted to do when I got into this field. And that's why, when I founded the IHRS, there was some confusion in the field because, then this thing was put up online. And, even doctors were like, how many leads will I get if I'm a member? And how many I'm like, I don't know. We don't do online consultations. We don't provide access for patients to essentially buy a hair transplant. If they're really interested, we provide a resource for patients to go to find the guys with the most consistent results in the field, period. This is a society. This is not a sales site. Now, the problem is when you combine message forums with with leads and recommendations of surgeons, there is online consultations, which is really the worst in my view. There is very little incentive to tell people not to have surgery, if you know what I mean.
For sure. And the problem is, too, someone will believe their best mate over the professor of medicine in the world's greatest university. because it's my mate and it worked for him, so it must work for me. So I'm going to Turkey or wherever it may be. And I've been telling people here, and with the lockdown and everything, people saying, "Oh, look, I just can't wait. I'm going to go to the nearest surgeon or whatever." And this harks back to what you guys were talking about earlier in the show about the state of the industry today is so bad compared to even 10 years ago, and it is. And I don't know if I can use names or whatever, but I will. So Dr. Vikram here in Melbourne. I mean, there's a couple of guys who've put up pics of their work, and there's doubles all in the front. And they've gone back and they've been told, "Oh, yeah, but that's what you see in nature." And I'm saying, no, it's not. That's an excuse for a fucked up hair transplant.
Yeah, well,
and
I'd say what's interesting is, and I'm glad that, and I appreciate you following me on Instagram. And guys, people, please, you got like maybe 1,700 followers on fucking Instagram. And these people who are selling nonsense have like 10,000 followers. It's if you want the truth, and if you want the truth to be put out there, everyone who's watching or listening to this program, just follow at Spencer Kobren on Instagram and share that information that I put out there. It's all free. We don't sell anything, and you're going to save a lot of people from being harmed. I had to do that spot, Adrian, because you take a lot of time, and you always take the time to comment on my posts, and I really appreciate that. The problem is, I'm not here fixing anybody. All I'm doing is telling them the truth. So, sadly, they circle back after they get fucked up.
Yeah, and I try and use my experience as some sort of, hopefully, a lesson for others to learn from, because, as I always say, one, it's cheaper. And two, I'd rather you learn from my mistakes than yours. And I really want to try and, I don't know, do something more. I mean, I got offered to be an ambassador for SMP here in Australia, and for me it's worked, but I can't do it because, you know why? I'm not a salesman. I'm not going to push a product or something that I don't think is suitable for someone. I mean, if we're talking about scars or something, or maybe, a bit more density for a hair transplant, I would say yes. But SMP on its own, even though I've had it done and it works for me, but there for my reasons, I wouldn't be pushing that.
Let me tell you something, and I appreciate you saying that. There's a lot of people out there that call themselves influencers. They're not educators. Yeah. They basically play the game to get the most followers, and they want to get as much exposure as possible so that they can then get free shit, or they can get commissions, or they can get free hair and wigs and all this, all the happy horse shit that you see online. And the truth is, once you cross that barrier, once you cross that threshold, you are, in many cases, doing consumers a tremendous disservice because you can't be fully honest. You can't really guide people in the right direction.
No, that's right.
And there's not.
And once you sell
once you sell your soul, but also there's not, honestly, in this world, there's not that much money to be made. Now, for some people, if they can make an extra $50,000 a year, that's a fortune, and that's great. And it's interesting that we have the ability to do that now. But in general, at least in this space, anyone who crosses over into that threshold has, like you said, they're selling their soul, and they are not, in my view, doing the best for consumers. And frankly, a lot of people who are selling products, they don't even want to, at least legitimate products, they don't want to go down that route because it's becoming so skeevy.
That's right, and that's the thing. I couldn't sell my credibility because no amount of money could ever buy it back. And you look on YouTube. People have had one hair transplant, and suddenly they're a guru with all these followers, as you say, influencers on Instagram, etc. But they're not making disclaimers about what money they make or what kickbacks and freebies they get, and I believe they should. And often I'll put a comment on they're all well known on their vlogs, and I say, are you in any way receiving any commissions or free hair transplants for friends, etc., and it just gets deleted or whatever. And
100%.
I just feel for people, and just feel maybe I should start a blog or something. I don't know, but I just really feel grateful that I'm at a space now where I'm at peace. And Joe, you remember probably 4 years ago where I wasn't, and it was because of you, Joe, that I am where I am today. And
thank you.
The more I look into it, the more passionate I feel about it, and I think it's because I survived. You know, I feel like I'm the one who got under the fence and kept running until I found a safe spot and I could think and take my time and realise what is the best option for me and accept it. And you never really truly accept it, whether it's a bad... Yeah, sorry, you're going, Joe?
No, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, I think that you have just laid out the reasons why you should start writing, why you should start sharing your experience and do it the right way. I mean, look, it's
yeah.
I won't lie. Like I just hit 20,000 subscribers, and I'm very proud of that. But I look around
well done.
in this space. Thank you. I look around this space and I see information, and I know Bug Spencer too. I see information that's being pushed out there that is completely wrong, factually, not like subjectively. I'm talking about like actual mistakes being repeated verbally as solid advice by people across in various formats, not just YouTube, but I see this and it's frustrating. It's frustrating because people are latching onto it and they're like, yeah, this is great information. And I'm just scratching my head. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. This is the same bad information that was repeated 20 years ago in the forums or by individuals that had an audience of some sort. And when you look at what's going on in social media today, the majority of people that you find that have any sort of audience, they started out in this space trying to make money by selling information that anyone can find on their own with 10 minutes of research on the internet. Like, it's not hard. Like it's all out there. And what you're talking about, your frustration with this, and I admire you for this S&P brand ambassador thing that you're talking about. I understand completely where you're coming from on that, because when I first started in this industry as a consultant, where I was being paid to direct patients to the clinic's products, I wasn't doing it on a commission. When I got first hired by the company, I told them I don't want to be on a commission. I want to be on a flat salary because I don't want there to be this inducement for me to talk someone into surgery in order to meet a quota or anything like that. And they were, they were like kind of surprised by it, but they were like, okay, that makes sense. We'll do that. And I've always worked like that in this industry, where I'm just paid to come into work. I'm not paid on performance. I'm not paid on the number of people I get to sign up, and it's because and you'll learn this. Like, if you ever get into this space where you are some sort of influencer, you'll learn that while the truth isn't as sexy, it does eventually seep through to a few people, and it makes those people stronger followers, stronger believers in your product, which is the truth.
Look, man,
that's all it is. It's just the truth.
I will give you some advice from a guy who's been preaching the truth from the beginning of his, and has been hated for it. Has been, I have to tell you that, especially at the beginning of my career, it was not easy. It was not easy to no one is ever equipped initially to deal with the level of hate and attempts to destroy your career, especially when you're just starting. Like, the cancel culture wasn't out yet. The internet was in its infancy. I had never experienced anything like it. And, as soon as I came on the scene, the online terrorism from so-called, people who were trying to compete in this space, or who were just trying to sell leads for doctors, it was really fascinating to me. And initially, it struck me as, wow, this is more difficult than I thought. Maybe I don't want to be part of this toxicity. And then I decided, you know what? If I'm getting so much shit at the beginning of my career, not only from the doctors and from the organizations, but from people who claim to be out there trying to help the consumer, I must be doing something right. So I'm going to keep doing it this way. And I know that I know that I'll be able to make something of it. And the truth is, I doubled down. My book was not a bestseller the first year that it was published, or actually it was towards the end, but the first few months, it wasn't even doing well in the bookstores. I had to get myself on the radio. I had to figure out a way to make that happen. And then all of a sudden, it just exploded. And it went from being published as a mass market paperback, which is usually the end of the line for books, then to be published in a second edition as a trade paperback in 5 languages. And it was all because people like the guys that you're talking about who are out there now were trying to kind of stop me from doing what I was doing. It put fire under my ass. So I respect what you said, like Joe said, like you are not going to sell out. You have the knowledge base to really change lives. And let me tell you, if you ever want to make money doing it somehow, I know there are ways to make it the right way without ever selling out. And that doesn't mean that you have to sell content to consumers. It doesn't mean you have to get in bed with these fucking snake oilers. You know, if you build a big enough brand, you will be able to call your own shots.
Yeah. And for me, it's not really even about the money. I mean, I've got a job. I love what I do. I work with guys with autism. I've been doing it for 30 years, you know. And I just think that, you know, I'm 54, and there must be the walking wounded out there.
How old are you? You said 54 or 64?
54, 5'4".
5'4", okay. So, I mean, you're a year younger than me, and, you know, yeah, we still got a lot of time left, man, to make some moves and to shake things up.
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm just coming into my stride in the last 4 years since I kind of, you know, I finally became emancipated from a hairpiece, which was hiding not just baldness, but that horrible scar in the front hairline. And then I got the SMP, and that made a world of difference, because even though you can still see the scar, hiding 70% of it is a massive difference to having that scar and nothing to hide it at all.
100%, man.
You know?
Yep.
So, and I had someone at work a couple of weeks ago. She said, "What's that scar from?" And I said, "What scar?" And because to me,
but let me tell you, Adrian, you have such a powerful story. I mean, you've been through it all. You lived every mistake that these guys are making.
I lived through the 80s.
Yeah. You lived as a young man, you know, with bad plugs, and you wore hair for a very long time, and you were able to figure out a way to live your life in this situation, even though you were fucked up by this industry, and eventually come out the other side. Like you said, you were finally emancipated, which is a great word. You know, you're freed from the shackles of having to wear hair because you were hiding a scar. It's one thing to wear it because you want to wear it, but to feel forced to wear it because you're hiding the damage that was done by this fucked up industry, that's a different story.
Yeah, and I think in some ways the scar issue made wearing a hairpiece not such a big deal to me, because a lot of people think, oh, how did you wear a hairpiece for so long? And I couldn't do that. And I'm like, well, for me it was a little different, because I had more to deal with than just baldness.
Right.
So it took the focus off the hair, which meant I didn't feel embarrassed about wearing a wig. In fact, I told my friends, and at the time when I had it done, we had a wig party. And I had friends coming around, and and they all wore these crazy wigs, and so it disarmed anyone from taking the piss out of me, because I've already done it.
Yeah, I love that. You know, I do see in the women's hair world, you know, you have Women's Hair Loss Project, WHLP Network, and you know, you see that it's normalizing. You know, this. You know, what's interesting is hair wearing. It was normalized in the Black community or the African American community forever. I mean, and if you don't wear hair, you know, your peers really look at you differently. So wearing hair is not just an option; it's almost a status symbol in that community. And the Caucasian community, even the Hispanic community, you know, and I don't even know what to say anymore, Joe. I mean, now you got to say Latinx. I don't know. I'm an old man, so I'm going to speak the way that I speak.
I will never say Latinx.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't understand it. But, you know, it's still, there's this level of shame, and, you know, women need to wear hair because of their hair loss. That's being destigmatized, but with that, you know, you're talking about how the industry is so fucked. I'm seeing so much fucked up shit online, and so many, you know, unfortunate women who are being, you know, I believe, being misled by people like these, like these hair transplant influencers who are just getting into the field to start to make money. It's amazing, man, what's going on. You know, I just see as things are evolving, it's just like it's the same old story, like it was back when I got into the field, except it's being amped up and scaled.
And you know what's funny is there are several YouTubers that started out going to a clinic, and then even before they got their final result, they started their channels and started making videos about their experience, about how to get to the clinic, and all these details. And then click the link down below and tell them I sent you, with the understanding that they get a kickback. There are several that I know of personally that started out like that and then secretly regretted their decision to go to the clinic. And one in particular is trying to figure out how to, like you said, like what you said earlier about not being able to buy back your credibility is spot on, because I immediately thought of this guy. He's trying to figure out how to go straight with this, how to clean up his past with this clinic.
Yes.
And talk about the clinic that actually fixed him, that he's not disclosed yet. And there's a few of them out there like that, and I know it because they've either reached out to me or their doctor has told me about the situation, and they reached out to me on behalf of the YouTuber wanting my advice. Like, more people than you realize have started this, and they regret it. And no amount of money that they're making from selling these, fucking laser helmets or pills or whatever is going to fix it. It's only about making. The only thing that fixes it is making the right decisions.
Yeah.
So
and that right decision has to come from the start. But for me, I know my true north. I went through all that shit, and I just feel like, not for my ego, but honestly, to help someone else, I just feel I've got a story to tell, and it's for others. It's not for me. I've already lived through it. And there are other people out there who are our age, and they've probably still got plugs, and they're just probably at a point now where they just feel defeated by life and they don't care anymore. But I'm sure there are a lot of people too who would feel there is hope.
Well, and there are people that are out there who are our age, and they have been living a life. Like, I think about Joe from Staten Island all the time, and I always wish they would call in. That is the quintessential guy who was destroyed by having bad hair transplants and being misled. Completely changed the course of his life. I guess what affects me, and I try not to get overly affected by it when I see these kids on YouTube or wherever else, on Instagram and TikTok. I understand why younger people gravitate to this information, because the way that it's presented very, new social media, young social media way, and I don't even know how to describe it. But there's very little value to the content that's being presented in most cases. Yeah. In some cases, I see some guys on YouTube who, some of these bro science guys, they're smart guys. And some of their stuff is really valid and interesting to listen to. And I like that guy from Bald Cafe who's like really embracing shaving your head, and he built this whole niche around that. I think that's positive.
Yes.
I find that to be very positive. But it's just so bad out
Harry,
there. Harry. I mean, he seems like a really nice guy, and he's really built a great niche for himself, and it's grown exponentially. And that's a guy, I believe, that deserves this type of notoriety and he's actually helping people.
Yeah, he is.
He's
got that integrity. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he went the route that worked for him. And he wanted to talk about it. And he did it in a way that I think was incredibly palatable. And it just makes a tremendous amount of sense. And I tell people all the time, look, if you don't want to treat your hair loss, if you think you can live without hair loss, don't even watch this show. If you want to hang out, that's great. If you want to say hi, that's great. But go watch Bald Cafe and shave your head and live your life and be free, if that's a possibility. Most guys just aren't equipped for it, unfortunately. So that's what we're here for. But people don't want to.
You know what I love about his what I love about his business model is he does have promotional affiliations, but it's with razor blades.
Yeah, it's all shaving
to shave
shit.
your damn head.
Yeah,
it's shaving shit. Do more of that. I love that because you're not going to screw people up with that.
Dude,
At most, they might just not like the product, but that's it. That's the extent of it.
When I was at FUE Europe and I was asked to partner with them with the IHRS and actually do the Bald Truth live from FUE Europe, one of our biggest sponsors was Headblade, and I thought it was very interesting. And I'm like, when we were looking for sponsors, one thing that I didn't want to do is have in my banner on my booth, in my radio booth, promotion for hair transplant surgery or any other types of products. For the most part, I wanted the biggest promotion to be what seems contradictory at a hair transplant conference, and that was just go and shave your head, because that's our message. So when I contacted Headblade, told them what I was doing, they were all in. And these guys, I mean, they are sponsors for like the UFC. I mean, they've sponsored some really big shit, and they were willing to sponsor us, even though we're at a hair transplant conference, because they understand that a lot of the audience may want this option. And I felt really proud of that. And it was something that was questioned initially by some of the doctors who were at this conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because, it would have been a threat to them, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I just explained it. I'm like, listen, this is our message, man. I'm here to provide people with the information they need to make the right choices. And if this is a part of their choice or their process, that, wait a second, maybe I don't need to actually go into the knife. I'll consider this. So, psychologically it's up there. It's kind of like a what's the word I'm looking for, Joe? I
have no idea.
It's a subliminal message in a sense. Like, I don't have to get a hair transplant. But if I do, let's listen to these doctors who Kobren's interviewing and see if, they kind of meet with my philosophy. And that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was it. But I love your message, dude. I mean, you've been through the mill, and I really hope you do something, because people deserve to hear this story and to hear the truth. And the more guys like you are willing to come out there, the better. I personally think that
having more... Yeah, I was going to say, I think having more people like you talking about the truth is needed. So if you decide to make that jump, you've got my support.
Mm-hmm.
And Spencer's.
Cheers, Joe.
Speak for yourself,
and Spencer too.
I'm just kidding. Of course, you got my support.
I knew that was coming.
Adrian's my man.
Yeah. Well, I just feel really incredibly strong about it now. I don't know why, but maybe I'm getting too old, but I just feel very passionate about it because it has been my life. I don't look back at my life now in terms of regrets. I look back at it in terms of, okay, it was a mistake. And I think the only mistake you can make is from not learning from it. So I would just like to, if other people can learn from it, great, because I won't have to go through that shit either. And Joe, you went through 9 years of it, so...
I love that. And I have the same philosophy, except I don't even look back in my life. I try not to. I really just I start from today. Like, when I wake up every day, I'm like, wait a second. Today, like, I'm starting a new life today, and I have all this shit. Like, I have all the pipes and the foundations built, and everything is there. It's solid as a fucking rock. If I start building from here and looking forward, instead of looking about my mistakes or what I should have done or didn't do, I'm ahead of the game.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think it's a great attitude. And I mean, you're 54. I'm going to be 56 in like a week, man. And
Right.
I could think about, like, wait a second, that's 4 years shy of 60. And
Oh, yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
but I try not to think that way. I'm like, I got a lot to do. And people ask me all the time, especially these doctors, because I have to say, there's a few really caring guys out there. But most of these guys are like, they're only going to, they don't want to hustle hair anymore. When are they going to retire? And they always ask me, like, why are you still working? Why haven't you retired? What is it, that keeps driving you? And I'm just like, I haven't finished what I started, and I want to. That's it. And if we can get a guy like you to kind of be one of our, just another tentacle to help us do what we're doing, but in your own way, that's what we need.
Yeah, that's right. And just getting back to that true thing again, I mean, if you've lived it, you've experienced it, it's your truth. And there's someone out there who's in the same situation. We always feel like, it's like when you first start losing hair, it's like, why me? You feel like the only person in the world. And it unfortunately happens at probably the most vulnerable age. It's like, 18, when you're just starting to go out and meet chicks and whatever. And the one thing that chicks love about you is your hair. Well, it was for me anyway, because I had long curly hair. I was like a hippie. And so it feels like a part of you is disappearing or dying. And
Dude,
you kind of mourn it.
My hair was like fucking spun gold. It was like the first thing people would talk about.
Mine was Bitcoin. I know. It's just going up in value with each curl.
It was like, honestly, it was like that. And we grew up in the same time, and I had long hair. And that was, I just remember the one time I had gotten back from you guys call it university, from college.
Yeah.
I saw this girl who wasn't from New York. She actually was from Pennsylvania, but somehow she was in the city. I went to a pizza joint, and this was after I started to lose some hair, and my hair was changing. But it wasn't like I was noticeably bald or anything. And the first thing she said to me is like, "What happened to your beautiful hair?" That fucked me. I was 21 years old. That crushed me.
Yeah, that would kill you. Yeah.
And it wasn't like, hey, hey, Spence, how are you? Great to see you. We're adults now. Nice to see you in the real world. It was like, what happened to your fucking hair? That was a really heavy moment in my life.
Yeah.
And I was going to say something really fucked up about it, but I chose not to.
Probably smart. Probably smart.
But no.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But here's the thing, Adrian. I'm going to let you go, and we're going to take some more calls. But I just want to say that, and this is important, it's the young guys who are watching these old guys talking about this, who are saying, that's never going to happen to me. Look at all this new technology. I read about this on Reddit. I see this on this message forum. Look at all these awesome TikToks and Instagrams. Let me tell you guys, it is all, for the most part,
this
100% bullshit. If there's a product or service that offers you a guarantee, you're getting a guaranteed piece of fucking bullshit. If you are women, if you are buying hair out there, honestly, you have to know exactly what you're getting. It is a cesspool for these poor women who are spending countless dollars on hair. I'm seeing that all the time.
Yeah.
Guys who are getting into hair pieces. I have to tell you, for the first time actually in the industry, the last 10 years, the male hairpiece industry has at least become relatively legitimate as far as they're not charging $3,000 for a hairpiece that really costs these companies $50. At the very least, now you can buy stuff online, try them. It's relatively cheap. So I think for guys who are willing to wear hair, it's easier, but the stigma's still there. That's the fucked up thing. But if you don't think it could happen to you, I promise you, it will happen to you. You will get ripped off, you young guys, at least twice, statistically. And if you have a hair transplant too early, your level of satisfaction, first of all, goes down the earlier you have it. It's lower. But 7 out of 10 guys now in this market who have a hair transplant go from they range from being disappointed to disfigured. That means only 3 out of 10 are happy with their first surgery. That's an important statistic that you guys need to know about.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
Adrian, man.
Well said.
You are the best, and I really appreciate you, and I appreciate everything you've been through. And I'm really happy that you've come through it, and you're like a happy, well-adjusted guy.
Yeah. No, thanks, Spencer. And I just want to make sure that other people can get to that point too, if they don't feel they're there. So, look, I love your show. I love you guys. Joe, thanks again, as always. And you guys have a great weekend.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your day. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Will do. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Guy's calling from Melbourne.
Such a great guy. I've known him off and on for a few years now. He's always got a. I remember when he first contacted me, and he was in pieces as far as dealing with trying to figure out what direction to move in, and he's really made some solid decisions, some solid choices, and he's the kind of guy I like to read. Read about, or to read what they've got to share. So I hope he does pull the trigger. I hope he does get on board with sharing his insight.
Look, if he does, we will. I will pimp it out as much as I can. And like I said, here's the sad part. All right, so say we get 3,000 downloads from your page, and 3,000 downloads from GFQ, and maybe 2,000 downloads from my page on the Bald Truth, or and then we have maybe a total of 10 or 15,000 people who listen on these different services. That's great. Everybody is we're dealing with human beings who take the time to listen, but we're still not at a point after all these years where the truth, and I can't even use the word Trump anymore, but the truth trumps the bullshit. And I don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
Because everyone gravitates to the bullshit because they want hope. And when you tell people the truth, it's kind of like when you're going in for surgery. There's plenty of doctors who would turn you down. And I tell people, if you're being turned down, listen to that. If the people are willing to turn down your fucking money, do not find a doctor or crowbar it to find a doctor who'll take it, because they're turning it down for a reason. They want your money. They're in business to make money.
Yep.
If they're turning you away, that's because you are not a candidate to have surgery.
And what's interesting is I can't count how many times I've spoken to a doctor where they have a patient come in that normally wouldn't be a candidate. But you can see it in their eyes. Come hell or high water, they're going to find someone that'll say yes.
Oh, yeah.
And so that doctor says, well, I decided to accept him because I knew that if I didn't, someone else would, and would do a worse job.
And that's true.
I wrestle with that.
I wrestle with it too, but I understand it.
Yeah, no, I completely understand it. But I wrestle with it because just because you might be better than the next choice that this patient makes doesn't make it right to do it in the first place. I tend to lean towards no, because people need to be responsible for themselves, and they don't understand. Like, they're just as unlikely or just as likely to be unhappy with the good work that was done than they are with someone from down the street that may not be as good, because they don't understand what they're doing in the first place, and they're still expecting, like young patients are the worst. And it's only because
guys, hold on,
they're looking for something that they lost a year ago.
Yeah.
It's fresh in their mind, and they're looking for a fix. They're looking for that permanent Band-Aid. And when one of the greatest hair transplant surgeons in the world does a procedure because he doesn't want this kid to go to the next guy down the street that sucks, and it's not like a full head of hair for this kid, which is what he was hoping for, even though he was told he wouldn't get it, then that kid is destroyed mentally and emotionally.
Dude, and I'm going to tell you, some of the worst or the most stubborn people, and I hate to say this, are the women. The women who contact us, who are like 98%, I don't care what these doctors say, they're not these women are not candidates for hair transplant surgery, period. Oh, let me give a shout out to Women's Hair Loss Project, because I noticed that she promoted our broadcast today. That's at WHLP Network on Instagram. Thank you so much for doing that. She's a really powerful force in this field, a powerful force for truth. And I can tell you that women contact us, I mean, for years. It's like you could barely talk them out of it. If there's a doctor who's willing to do a transplant a woman, this woman will find it because she believes that maybe she'll get a few years out of it. Now, I've spoken to doctors who promote the shit out of hair transplants for women all over Instagram, everywhere else. That's a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's becoming a lot more prevalent than it ever has. I see some of the hairlines that are being put on these women. I saw something on TikTok the other day from this doctor I never heard of who's doing a robotic hair lowering on a woman. I don't think this poor woman knows what kind of life she's going to have now. She is destroyed. And most of the women that decide to undergo hair transplant surgery regret it. And they have to be very specific candidates. And if you look closely enough online, even the so-called good candidates, the hair transplants, in my opinion, suck. They look incredibly unnatural. I know a model who had hairline lowering done, and I see her online all the time. It's a beautiful woman, and she didn't need any work done. And her hairline, in my view, I mean, I could see it from a mile away, it's so unnatural. And I kind of see how she has to color it and what she's kind of using specific product to kind of push it down. It's not good, people. It's not good. But, the truth doesn't sell. What are you going to do? We just keep doing what we're doing. And, like I said, if we have, 40 or 30,000 people that listen to us in a month, that's great. It's too bad that it's not more, at least on these social media platforms.
100%. It's sad.
All right, let's take a phone call. Joe is about to pass out. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey,
Who's this?
Curtis.
Projection
Virginia.
much?
Curtis, what's happening, man?
Hey, Curtis.
Hey, 5.5 months in from my repair with Dr. Lindsay. He sent you another picture. Just sent it to Joe just now. So for your critique.
Did you send me another picture?
On air.
Was that you? Let's see.
Yeah.
My critique or our critique.
Yeah.
Curtis, what happens if I said, listen, this transplant sucks? How would you feel about that?
Then,
what the hell were you thinking?
I've lived with that for 35 years. I mean, I just go on and, just go back to heroin or whatever I was doing. I don't know.
Just keep going, man.
I mean, I've been battling this for 35 years. Go ahead. Say whatever you want.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know what I mean?
You're fucking bulletproof at this point.
I mean, I expect it. The good is the surprise at this point in life when it comes to hair. I've been dealing with it so long. And, your other caller a little while ago, from the 80s on, it's just always been there. Like the crappy parent.
Well, look, Curtis, I think your story is important too. And just for the listeners who don't know it, real quickly, Curtis is a old school, long time, walking wounded of the hair transplant industry.
Yes.
A person who didn't believe it could happen to him, but it did.
And kept believing what people were telling me every 6 or 7 years, like, oh, well, this person's the answer, and this sounds right. You know what I mean? Like, this will do it.
No one is the answer. There is no such thing as this doctor is the answer. Like, it just doesn't exist. So I'm going to put your photo up on screen.
Okay.
Boom.
All
there
right.
you go.
All right.
5.5 months out.
Yeah.
My honest opinion. I want to blow this up on my end so I can see better. Just fucking why? Sorry. It's asking me. There we go. Okay.
Well, first of all, I have to say I really like your subway tiles in your bathroom.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say yeah, and thank you for not having your toilet lid open in the background.
I was in a homeless shelter for a couple of nights. So,
no, I like them though. I honestly did.
Yeah.
People pay big money for subway
I think it
tiles.
looks good.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of redness that's persisting, which is not unusual.
Yeah.
But I think it's a big improvement.
Yeah.
Big improvement. Well done to Dr. Lindsay, and congratulations to you.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's that redness will eventually subside.
Oh, I'm not worried. Yeah, no. That's just got it out of the shower and put some mousse, a little mousse on it, gets a little red. You know.
So you feel like now, after all these years, you're finally able to live a normal life.
That's what I want to talk to. I'm getting there. It's getting close. It's like I can dare to dream. You know what I mean? I can think about it.
Oh man, so I'm really happy for you, man.
And
nice
people like I'll ask, and they'll say, "Oh, what happened? Because my hair's much shorter when it's growing back." They go, "Your hairline looks really good." And I mean, that's with nothing in it anymore. No, just the hair.
Yeah, that's amazing. My hair is so dummied up at this point. It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like that guy called in. Was it last week? And he says, I mean, he had a sad story, but he was in a down spot. But he said that every day he has to do his hair. It's like getting ready for the fucking Academy Awards.
No, that was. I listened to that. That's 100%. That was my life.
Yeah.
And you had to wonder at night. God, it's tomorrow. It's like you dreaded that morning every day.
Well, you got to get up a little bit earlier than other people.
Yes.
To get that.
You got to plan your life around it.
Yeah.
And you got to plan your life around it when you go somewhere, when you travel. You got to make sure you have all the stuff with you. You don't want to forget anything.
Oh, when you think about it, though, I mean, it's like, what do women do? They carry like boxes, like a case of makeup.
One thing I did, and you guys have been talking about it, and you're always spot on, is, I knew Dr. Lindsay from Breacher is a good doctor, so I knew I had that part now, but I tried to have reasonable expectations.
Yeah.
Realizing after all this time, if I can just get to where it's never going to, whatever I think of, or like you said, whatever, it's never going to be perfect, but if I can get to where it doesn't matter, and I think I'm getting close to that.
Well, you are getting close to that.
Let me say something. Sorry. Look, I want to be very clear about this. You have a situation right now where your result at 5.5 months, compared to the majority of hair transplants being done today around the world, is a home run. It's an absolute home run. Because you got so many people out there, like your decision, like you chose a very competent surgeon, IAHRS accepted member that understands, what it means to not throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. He understands, like he does a lot of repair work. I know that about Dr. Lindsay, and so he understands a lot of the nuances that patients like you are dealing with. Like the plugs and the misangled grafts and things like that. In today's world, in today's hair transplant world, what you've got maturing on your scalp right now is in the top 5%.
Well,
so
that's
you need to feel good about this.
Yeah, I'm trying. But Joe, you said something to me a while back when we talked, and it just wanted to, because I'm experiencing it, because you talked about the liberation aspect you felt at one point when it started to work, and how I'm paraphrasing, but how it freed up like mental space.
Oh yeah.
You said that.
Yeah, you've got energy that you're dedicating to the problem, and you can't not do it because it's staring you in the face every time you look in the mirror, and it's there. You can feel it. Yeah, and now that you're on the other side, your mental capacity is able to take in newer or different things that you couldn't notice before because you're too preoccupied.
It's like freeing up 100%. Room on your hard drive or your computer. It's like you have more room for other things.
That's one way of putting it. Yeah, that's a good analogy for sure.
I mean, but I didn't know what you meant. But now, little by little, and I hate even saying it because I don't want to jinx it. Like, so something bad's going to happen. But because that's the way it's been for 35 years.
Well, what you're going to see is you're going to see things soften as things grow out. you're going to be able to. You're just going to have overall more coverage. It's just going to be. I mean, it's already. This is 5 months. 5 months, and it's a significant repair.
Yeah, and he told me, you know, because I go see him every month because just I like talking to him and his nurses and just shooting the breeze with them, and you know they're very therapeutic. You know, no, they say we've done a lot of repairs. We know. Come in every month. We'll talk to you and hold your hand. You know, it's going to be fine. But they're very nice. You know, and very understanding about what the process is. But here's what I like. Again, I look for all the things that you guys talk about, and I said, he goes, they wouldn't do any more in the front. He said, you're done. He said, any more grafts? He said, you have, you know, probably 1,000 more grafts if you want. He said, but there's nothing I would, you know, there's nowhere I would put them right now. I wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Well, look, man.
Well, I think it's fair to say that, you know, you need a few more months for everything to come through. But at this, you know, to make a final decision. But if he's saying that now, like you got potentially more hairs will pop through in that hairline. But if he's saying that now, then that means that I mean it's seeing it in person is different than seeing the photo.
He's almost
that's saying a lot.
He almost was saying you have 1,000 left for your life, and you know the only thing he would think about was the crown. But he goes, if it doesn't bother you, don't do it. It really doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I like that approach because he's not pushing you to have more. He's saying you're done because there's really no need for anything else, and I can appreciate that when a doctor is telling the patient when to say no instead of the other way around.
Yeah, he told me to beware.
So
they told me
good
to beware of hair greed.
Yes, 100%.
They said beware of hair greed.
Well,
and
that's the thing.
One thing I do want to say.
Yeah.
Real quick, you brought it up the other week, and it just brought back the best times of my life in the '80s. Is the Friday night happy hour?
Oh yeah,
that was the biggest deal in the world, wasn't it?
Dude, let me tell you something. And I had some of my best.
Yes.
What's the word I'm looking for, Joe? Help me, I'm getting old. Conquest.
Hookups.
Conquest.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
It was just like these people. I mean, that's it. Especially in New York, it was just like. You know, all and guys in New York, people in New York would understand this. And the only person that gets offended is Andrew Zarian. But it was like all bridge and tunnel, like people from all the outer boroughs after work on a Friday in Manhattan, and these, you know, the secretaries and you know, assistants and just young, you know, women just want to have fucking fun. It was great.
And see, and people listening to us right now won't understand how, like, oh, we have that. No, you don't.
No.
Because everyone's online doing their dating and meeting. That didn't exist. You wanted to meet someone, you got a couple of drinks and got the courage up and go talk to them.
And that's the thing. It was a game for me because of my hair situation. I was just like, I really gave zero fucks. And it wasn't just about with the drinks in me. I walked in there like I fucking owned the joint. And it was... Honestly, it was probably it was overcompensating for, you know, my crazy hairspray and the fact that I felt that was
you wanted to
starting
make sure like it was validation.
I wanted to make sure that I was still in the game, and you know,
it was validation.
Yeah, as sick as that sounds, I actually think that it helped me develop more confidence dealing with this, and that's why he was even able to get on the radio and shit like that. Because if I would have just sat there and sunk into the depression that a lot of guys do, I wouldn't be behind this mic today.
Well, we had the same exact like, but those were because it was packed and people were ready just to have fun, and that's how I met my wife.
You were able to smoke cigarettes in bars. It was just a different time, you know.
I was at the bar talking to her. And she became my wife, and the guy sent her a shot, and I looked at the guy and drank the shot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, you know how that. So that's the last thing. But when you brought that up, it just like sparks and like that. Those are awesome days. So.
And all these young cats who are listening are like, listen to these old fucking fools talking about the glory days.
Yeah, well, too bad. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
You know what? Here's the thing. I still find it fun. You know, sadly, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but things are opening up. And,
it's gone away, though.
Well, it's going away, but it's still there. I have to tell you, older people still like to go out and drink.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So
Yep.
anyway,
Well,
let me tell you
but
something.
thank
One
you
of the
guys.
scariest moments is when I walked into my high school, my 20th high school
Oh.
reunion, and I thought I was in the wrong fucking place. By the way, and the 30th wasn't much better because I was kind of used to it because I saw these people 10 years prior. But I'm like, you know, Jesus, I'm in a geriatric ward.
That's scary. I have my 40th coming up,
I do too.
and
Oh.
you know,
I thought you were saying 40th birthday, and I was like rolling my eyes, but you meant 40th. Yeah,
no.
got it.
Reunion.
Never mind.
Just for shits and giggles, like I'm going to have Joe roll me in a wheelchair and tell him that he's my partner.
your life partner. Not that anything's wrong with
Spencer.
that.
Look, my pronouns are he and hims, and I identify as His Majesty. That's my thing.
Yeah, we.
All right, man.
That's good.
But thanks, and I'll keep you updated. But so far, you know, for everybody listening, all I can say is listen to you guys. You know, you're not bullshitting out there. You're telling the truth.
Wow. And
I've been through 35 years of bad things, and if I'd known what you know, my life would have been. Dr. Lindsay told me if I'd come to him originally, I'd look like Greg Brady at 17 years old.
Yeah, well, you have that hair. You have that type of hair, man.
Yeah, but you know, he said that's in other words, he was saying if you originally had got this right.
Yeah, if and what year was your first hair transplant?
85.
That was a fucked up year to get plugs, man. That was a fucked up year to get hair transplant.
Whitig.
And Whitig, man, that's right. You're in Maryland, right? You're in D.C. area.
Lindsay, he's kept Lindsay in business. Lindsay said he repairs Whitig all the time.
Well, first of all, when I first got into the industry, he was a well-known, like a big name. And I'm just going to tell you that I was approached by everybody. Once the book came out, everybody wanted to get connected to that book and to Kobren and the Bald Truth. And it was just insane. The stuff that I was seeing out of all their offices, it was just fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah, he do 4 or 5 a day.
Oh yeah. And this guy was making money hand over fist. Him and Senior Unger, and
But I will say this: out of the other ones I've had in between from other people, including a Bosley, including another, his grew.
His hair grew.
I mean, they were plugs, but they grew.
Yeah, he's putting in 4mm plugs, and there's a good chance as long as there's no donating, it's going to grow.
I mean, those things grew more than the other people's. I can tell you that. Yeah, more than the other ones I went to over the years.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they were plugs, but they worked.
Well, you know what? And that's interesting that you say that, because back in the time when I was at that point, it was 1987, 88, whatever it is, when I first went in to see Dr. Norman Orenreich, he was saying that, he's showing me all these pictures, and the plugs grew. And he wanted to sell me. This guy was willing to sit me down and sell me a hair transplant. He said, his exact words were, if you were my own son, I would tell you to try these. You just have to try a few and see if you like them. And I'm like, try a few? Where are you going to put them? I didn't even have a receding hairline yet.
I was 25 years old. I was all in, man, because I was like you. It's like my hair, there was no option. And in the 80s, hair was everything.
Dude, I just remember going into this office. It was so crowded, and I was just like, it was just such a depressing thing for me. And I was a kid. He suggested this. I said, you know what? I don't think it's for me. And then he said, I think you have an ingrown hair in your beard line. I had a clean shaven face. I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice. And he's like, yeah, I'll have my nurse take care of it. She takes care of it. I thank her. I go outside. He charges me $250 for that.
That's awesome. You know what sold me? Here's what sold me. Imagine, so I'm 25 years old, and he has a before and after picture of Brooks freaking Robinson in his office.
Yeah.
Imagine I'm 25, and there's Brooks Robinson's picture.
Well, I went to a place. Sold. I went to a place called, I think it was called Men's Hair Now back in the day. It was on.
I don't know if you know who Brooks Robinson is, but
well, yeah, I do. But it was. I'm going to give you another celebrity sighting here, so it's on Queens Boulevard. It's no longer there, and Andrew would know where it was. It was right on Queens Boulevard, I think 68th or 59th Ave, 58th Street, Queens Boulevard, something like that. Go in there. I go into this woman's office. I don't know what it is. Apparently, it's a wig joint. I had no idea, and they did hair transplants on the side. I actually know of a hair transplant surgeon who worked for this person at one point. And there's a picture of Howard Stern in this person's office. And I'm like, what? Howard Stern wears a wig? You know? And
now that's what
she didn't say
what do you
anything.
think about it, by the way?
Well, I'll get to that. She didn't say anything. And I'm asking her, like, what are you going to be doing to my head? And finally, she explains the process. And I'm like, again, you know, this woman she's a hard sell. There's no place to put a wig on me. So what do I think of Howard Stern? I can tell you what I think. I think that he was ultra concerned about a caller who called my program back in the early 2000s when I was on 97.1, which was one of the bigger FM talk stations here in Los Angeles. It was the biggest. It was a Howard Stern station. He apparently heard the program and had Gary Delabate call the program director of the station to say, I don't like this guy talking about my hair. So to me, and I wasn't even talking about this person,
that's a little defensive, right?
Well, this person called in and said that she worked in the same building, I think as K-Rock at the time, and would ride the elevator with Howard Stern all the time in the mornings. And she believed that Howard Stern was wearing a wig. And I'm like, really? And we talked about it, and I said, I said on the air, I have no idea if he's wearing hair or not. I made that very clear. I didn't make that declaration. This is a hair loss show. What does this fucking guy expect? You know, so that's my impression is, he was a little hyper concerned about it. There has to be a reason, or there might be a reason. I don't know.
Yeah, he struck a nerve there.
It was great. I got a lot of press because we were on the show. We were on his show, and he was bitching about the bald truth. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I see my residuals, my royalties in my book just go through the fucking roof. So it was a good time. Well, it was a good time in my career.
Good times.
Yeah, but I appreciate. I thank you guys. Thank you guys for everything, and I'll continue to update you. And so far, so good.
All right, man. Good luck. And
I've never been able to say that before. So
I'm happy for you, man. Thank you. Really, and thanks for.
I'm happy for me too.
Yeah. You should be. Go out and have a drink.
Bravo.
All right.
Take care.
Good happy hour. All right.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.
So there must be a delay between us, Joe, right? Like a 5-second delay or some shit?
You mean between you and me?
Yeah.
Or with the caller?
Between me and you. Is there a delay?
No, I don't think so.
Let's count. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, maybe 1 second.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's call it a night. I want to thank everyone for hanging out. Let me turn off the phones.
Let me finish. Okay, hang on. Before we go.
Can I keep the phone?
I want to finish
turn
my
off
thought.
the phones, though.
Yeah, turn off the phones.
All right.
I want to finish my thought from the top of the show when I was talking about.
I would like you to do that.
How things haven't changed. So I'm going to read something. This person online says, I went to see a dermatologist who specializes in hair scalp conditions today. While I was there, I asked the good doctor what he thinks about hair multiplication. He said it's very exciting technology, but in his opinion, it won't be available to the general public for another 10 years. He was actually quite enthusiastic about the prospects of hair multiplication, and he seemed to be quite clued up on it as a technology, and he definitely does not have a hidden agenda, because he's not a hair transplant surgeon. So I wanted to bring this up because I've had more people ask me about the future, about hair multiplication or cloning or stem cell treatments or whatever. And sometimes people get upset when I say nothing new today, that hasn't been talked about for the past, 20 years. Everyone's been talking about stem cells or some sort of, genetic manipulation, whatever. Like, it's all been out there, except CRISPR. CRISPR is kind of like the newest thing, and it's still been around for several years.
Yes.
What I just read was written in 2007. This shit had been going on forever.
Oh, yeah.
So when people ask me, don't get upset when I tell you that people have been saying 5 to 10 years for the past 50 years. Like, there's really no difference. Like, we have a better understanding of things, but every announcement that we see, it's always on some poor mouse that's bald.
Yeah.
That's as far as we've gotten.
And in the year 2021, mice are fucking killing it with like skin rejuvenation and hair rejuvenation.
Cancer cures.
They mean, you want to fucking cure a mouse of cancer? Done. We can make that happen.
You want to restore a blind mouse's eyesight? Pfft, child's play.
That's child's play.
At this point, it's child's play. You want to transfer that to a human? Good luck.
Well, look, on the very first broadcast of The Bald Truth, June 1998, which I have, by the way, and one day I will put up all these archives, and you guys will pay for it. We'll start some sort of Patreon thing. You guys want to listen to the shit, and maybe we can buy some lunch. But
that'd be fun. Yep.
I think people would be interested. But obviously, one of the first callers, if not the first caller, was Joe from Staten Island. But the question was about hair multiplication, Dr. Cohen Go, hair cloning, all that stuff. This was what was the most exciting stuff on the old bulletin boards. And this is the stuff that everyone wanted to talk about. That's 24 years ago, yo. And there was a time when I talked about all this stuff, every new breakthrough, every new study, there's some good sites, like I think Hair Loss Cure 2020, a really nice guy runs the site, and that's what the traffic is all about, and the site's all about. And people get mad at me for not wanting to talk about this stuff, or not even on the message forum when we were keeping Bald Truth Talk. When we wanted that when that section was very vibrant, we kind of cut it off because of all the nonsense and the bro science. We've been talking about the exact same stuff for 24 years, and that is not including the 6 years prior to me getting into this field that I was reading about it and learning about it and doing research about it on my own. I'm not saying it's not happening, but I can tell you this, it's not 10 years away. That I can guarantee. I can guarantee that it's not 10 years away as of this date. And you know what? I want all of you guys to be able to prove me wrong. The latest finding that I think is can really affect cosmetic surgery, burn victims, the hair world, is this relatively new finding that came out of Stanford, and it's a drug that's already being used for macular degeneration and other eye diseases, that has shown in mice, and now they're working on pigs, that they actually can inject the edges of any scar tissue, a scar that's created or a wound that's created, and the skin that grows back is not fibrotic skin. It's real skin that actually grows real hair follicles. Now that is able, and it's already a drug that's approved by the FDA. If that
now we're going to have people purposely scarring their heads with 5 millimeter needling across the board to get this treatment that regrows new skin tissue with hair follicles.
Yeah, well, they would be idiots, and the wounds would have to be much greater than that anyway. So they basically have to cut out. Here's the instruction manual that you guys are going to find on Reddit any day now. You're going to have to get a punch, and you're going to have to cut out punches all over your scalp, and then you're going to have to inject this thing just right in the edge of each punctate wound, so that you can possibly
go to Amazon, order these products, these needles.
It's fucking guys, man. There's going to be one guy that starts to thread somewhere who's going to be doing it, and everyone from around the world is going to follow it.
Yep. That's the world we live in.
Here's what we got finasteride, dutasteride, minoxidil, oral minoxidil, PRP. If you not all PRP is created equal. Low-level laser light therapy has been shown to help some people. There are some possibilities with, and I hate to even use the term nutraceuticals, but there's some possibilities that when used with medication that could boost efficacy depending on what you take. But taking alone, it's not my bag, man. Can't really, promote that on its own. Diet can be beneficial to some degree. We have exosome treatments, which is still questionable, but a lot of people are getting some good results. So we have to kind of know, you kind of have to know where the exosomes come from. If you're getting a good batch, you want to make sure that, you're dealing with a legit doctor, not just someone who's promoting this cell therapy or cell-based therapies. Mm-hmm. And good wigs. That's it. Nothing else. If you see a celebrity hawking a product on the internet, it's unlikely that that product is going to do anything for your fucking hair loss. It may do something for their pocketbooks. I mean, unless it is a FDA-approved drug. I got to take that back because I know Jennifer Lopez now is working with hers, and they basically sell minoxidil products for women. So that could work. So I'm going to take that back. But in general, that's just the case. If you see something with a discount code or a put such and such influencer in the checkout and you'll get 10% discount, it's unlikely that's going to help you with hair loss. These are just the facts. And I'm sorry that it's difficult for you guys to swallow and to deal with, but this is the truth. This is all we got. And I have to tell you, if you're losing your hair in 2021, it's a lot better than when I started to lose my hair in 1987. When the only thing we had was the fucking Helsinki formula at Hair Club for Men.
Helsinki formula.
There was no Rogaine. Rogaine didn't exist. It wasn't on the market yet. There was nothing except nonsensical products. And really, sadly, and God rest his soul, Cy Sperling, we became friendly towards the end of his life, and he told me where all the bodies are buried. This guy had some great fucking stories. But, there was a reason why those wigs looked like wigs, is because they had to provide people for the money something that was heavy, that was going to last, that was going to be durable, as opposed to the stuff that's being sold today, which they could have manufactured back then. Whole thing is just fucking, it's depressing. But hopefully people find us and they get help, they get the truth. And listen, there's no ulterior motive here. We have nothing to sell you. So you can listen to us and maybe get away clean in this and come out the other side okay. Or you can not listen to us and then get fucked up, which happens all the time, and then come back and talk about your repair journey.
You wish that you'd listen to us.
Or how you got ripped off and how you lost $25,000 buying some bullshit or setting up a monthly charge with a company that is going to store your hair for future cloning or some such fucking bullshit. All right, guys, I'm going to go. Wow, my voice is cracking. I'm like a 13-year-old boy.
Uh-oh.
You know what I forgot to mention, which I should have mentioned at the beginning of the show? We had a really great caller today from the UK show. Guys who are interested in the UK program, check it out. I do it with Spencer Specs Stevenson on apetojgentleman.com. That's apetojgentleman.com. Just look it up. It's right there under hair, and you'll see all the broadcasts. I think we did episode 13 or 14 today, maybe 13, something like that. It's great. Europe is in a bad spot when it comes to the hair world. Hair transplant industry in the UK is really a mess. And to be able to reach out to these, especially the young guys, through the Bald Truth UK is great. So check that out, guys. And I'm going to let Joe give out the rest of the websites while I have a drink of water because I'm parched.
The websites, International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, IAHRS.org. It is a safe place to start. In fact, I have always, like way before I got involved with The Bald Truth, I have always utilized the IAHRS as a reference point for patients to do the research. And as the original hair transplant mentor, when I accept doctors into my organization, onto my website, IHRS membership is one of the baseline requirements. One, why? Because I'm lazy. They do some of the work for me. Anyway, no, I think it's a great baseline credibility for me to work on top of when the doctors have already passed. They've already been accepted. Great place to start. American Hair Loss Association, the single most referenced resource in the world by all major media when it comes to anything and everything hair loss. American Hair Loss Association. What's the website? AmericanHairLoss.org?
Yeah, AmericanHairLoss.org. What a great domain that is, by the way.
It really is.
Working on updating the site still.
Wonderful website.
Yeah, the information is
good.
good.
I want to say it because it hasn't been updated since the Civil War.
That's true. But you know what? The information's on there.
I love that saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What else is there? hairtransplantmentor.com, my own website that I started originally with 10 megabytes of free web space on Yahoo. 18 years ago?
Wow.
18 years ago. And has gone through 6 revisions to its current revision, including the world's most comprehensive hair loss and hair restoration terms and definitions, or glossary or dictionary, however you want to say it. And of course, if you're listening to this broadcast and not watching us on YouTube, you can visit youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor for older episodes. I won't say archives because they're not archived, but the playlist of The Bald Truth, Spencer Kobren's Bald Truth with Joe Tillman. Also, the most comprehensive hair loss education series, which I call simply Hair Transplant Class. And of course, the doctors I work with, each one of them have their own playlist where you can see highlights and details about them that you might not have known before. Instagram, follow Spencer Kobren. He's got some great clips that he's putting up of this show and of the UK Bald Truth with Spencer Stevenson. That is at Spencer Kobren on Instagram. And of course, you can follow me and see pictures of the bison that I eat. Or my dog, sorry, not real.
Hey, did you eat?
Joe Tillman official.
The bison that you eat, or your dog?
That watches me eat.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Scared
I got a great photo I'm going to upload today, though. And I guess that's about it.
All right, guys, listen.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think you did. I mean, I really wasn't listening, but whatever it is, it is. Thank you, Joe. Guys.
It is what it is.
Until next time, first of all, have a great weekend. I guess this week is Mother's Day here in the U.S. Is it Mother's Day in the UK, too?
Look, I know a lot, and thanks for recognizing that and coming to me about
this. That's true.
But I can't answer that question.
All right. Well, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, the 4 women who are listening to the show. And, if you guys have a mother, send her a fucking card, man. Give her a call. Send her some flowers or something.
I was going to say, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Let her know that you appreciate her for pushing you out.
Yeah. Do not text your mother on Mother's Day. Don't text her Happy Mother's Day.
And don't use Facebook. That's one of the things I don't do. Is I don't do the, if it's someone's birthday that I give a shit about, I don't do the, like, I pick up the phone and call them. You guys should do the same.
Well.
Just saying.
You should. I can't. My mother's dead. And on that note,
not to bring the room down or anything.
Yeah. Until next time, be strong. God bless. And thank you guys so much for listening. Take care.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be